And welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. We are live tonight at Ohio Wesleyan University, just north of Columbus in central Ohio. We just wrapped up a town hall event with Senate candidate and author J.D. Vance. The famous author just received the coveted Trump endorsement. Vance running for an open Senate seat in a state that, of course, needs a lot of help. And you know that if you live here. One of Ohio's many serious problems, of course, is drug abuse. Overdose deaths jumped 26% in this state last year, and across the country, we see the same story. 2/3 of the more than 100,000 overdose deaths in the United States last year were from the drug we all know, fentanyl. Teen overdose deaths have doubled in just 3 years, up from just under 500 in 2019 to more than 1,100 in 2021. A drug that pours across our southern border. In certain parts of the country, it seems almost everybody knows somebody who has been struck by our fentanyl epidemic. In Texas, star college football linebacker, brother of professional football player, Jake Ellinger died late last year after taking a Xanax that was laced with fentanyl, one of so many stories that we see. The drug is used to make counterfeit pills, as well as a cutting agent for other drugs like cocaine. It is a problem that is quite literally poisoning our country.
Officers in Sterling Heights just made a massive bust finding fentanyl hidden inside of compartments of a car.
The man and woman arrested told police they transport fentanyl for a Mexican drug cartel.
Inside of that minivan, according to the Orange County District Attorney's Office, was enough fentanyl to kill more than 4 million people.
Massive drug bust in Hartford. Police and federal agents seizing dozens of kilograms and thousands of pills of fentanyl.
It is a horrific problem that could so easily be solved, but will not be anytime soon, because solving America's drug plague, this new drug plague, does not jive with the White House's political agenda. It is another prime example of how little your government cares about your well-being. You are not a part of their calculation on this story. You found your 16-year-old daughter dead on the floor of her bedroom. You wonder what's being done about it. Here is your White House. This is the response we see almost every time they're asked about anything regarding the border. The trademark, "We really don't care," courtesy response.
Why isn't the administration doing more to stop the drugs from coming in?
Well, first I would say that the president is meeting with the president of Mexico today, as you know.
Oh, meeting with the president of Mexico. That should make everything better. You see the way they talk about the southern border. You see the way they talk about all these problems. It's pretty clear. But listen to how they talk. Ron DeSantis signs a bill banning teachers from talking about sexuality with 5-year-old kids. And suddenly there is a remarkably different response from the same people.
It's like kids who are bullied, and like all these leaders are taking steps to hurt them and hurt their lives and hurt their families. And you look at some of these laws in these states, and it is going after parents who are in loving relationships who have kids. It's completely outrageous.
I mean, just think about how pathetic that moment is right there. She is listing off a fake story. She's talking about things that aren't happening. She's talking about a very simplistic bill that just takes sex out of the conversation with very small children, and she's turning into that. And she's in tears over that. She's in tears over that. Yet when she talks about real problems in this country, she is so dismissive. She will fit in perfectly at MSNBC. She is a perfect fit. It's the dream job, and she's going to be great at it, because that's exactly how they operate. That is their priorities. The administration more willing to help perpetuate drug abuse and misery in order to maintain the optics that they are accepting, that they are compassionate, empathetic, that they are generous. They don't care what this does for the cartels. They don't care how many people get raped, leave the border open. They don't care about drugs in this country, how many people die. They want to keep it open so that they look caring, so that they look liberal. It's all about their optics. Solving this problem, helping the American people, would force them to use common sense border security, which, of course, is something they spent 4 years equating to fascism, something they spent 4 years equating to racism. So they can't do that, right? It's simple optics. Our kids have to die because they can't secure the border, because they said securing the border was a terrible thing. So now we must watch as our rural, low-income, working-class communities get gutted by a dangerous and highly addictive drug that is 50 times as powerful as heroin, and it is being dumped into this country at a record pace. A White House making cartels filthy rich. Some of the worst people on the planet are operating in Mexico and have been for the last several years, and they are getting filthy rich thanks to the ridiculous policies of this country. Some terrible human beings are making more money than they could ever dream of, and they love Joe Biden. Seeing all of this, Arizona's governor has helped to launch a task force that'll utilize the resources of half the states in this country to counter the response from our extremely flaccid federal government.
There are kids ODing on fentanyl all over our country in schools and neighborhoods. It's one of the leading causes of death. People that are addicted, people that are looking for a cheap high, and that's coming over our southern border, but it's happening in small towns and rural communities in the interior. That's what the Border Strike Force is, to share information, stop the cartels, and stop the human trafficking.
So all this as Axios reveals the Biden White House is considering delaying their action to end Title 42, which of course is the last line of defense that Border Patrol has in this country. These are the men and women that are trying, and they've been set up to fail, to secure the border of this country, and they go to work every day being set up to fail. Can you imagine having that job? Today, the White House reiterated their plans to go ahead with removing the final measure of some kind of common sense border policy.
We are planning and preparing for the end of Title 42 enforcement on May 23rd. What DHS said last month is that they expect the current funding levels will not be sufficient to meet operational needs, but they have a number of options available to secure the resources required to implement our comprehensive strategy. This includes reprioritizing and reallocating existing funds, requesting additional support from other federal agencies if necessary.
White House immigration strategy so outrageous, Democrats, many Democrats at this point, have begun begging the Biden White House to come up with some way to stop the madness at the border before they exacerbate this problem dramatically, probably double the amount of people coming across if they end Title 42, and not just coming across, the amount of people getting all the way in. It's an indication of just how out of touch the people that are making policy in this White House really are. They don't have a clue. They don't care what you need, what you care about, what affects you. Doesn't matter. Their policy, their ideology is all that counts. You're called a racist for wanting to secure a border of a first world country. A thing that every single first world country does is racist in this country. That's how stupid we are. For DC elites, it's just a political game, but it's not a political issue. At the end of the day, it is a life or death issue, especially if you've been affected by it, especially if you know somebody who's been affected by it. Earlier tonight, I talked to J.D. Vance about this. Here's what he had to say.
We've got to send a message that those of us who are running on this issue actually care about it. I know people who have had heroin overdoses. I know people who would be dead today if the fentanyl that's coming across the southern border were coming across the southern border 5-10 years ago. This poison is going to destroy us if we don't stop it.
So there you go. That's common sense. Preventing a dangerous drug from ravaging our society, which, of course, is also known as racism to the Democrat Party.